our generation needs a person like Basquiat. From a distance, he's another rags to riches story. A homeless Haitian mixed with Puerto Rican kid on the streets at 15, 16, 17. Actually, probably all of those years. And eventually finds himself meeting Andy Warhol, who was another famous painter back in the day.
No, I just do whatever I do, you know, just to get by.
Have a good relationship, he sells a few people paintings, and the next you know, he's like a multi-millionaire at 20-something. And just like any great story from like the 80s, 90s, they eventually end up dying off at 27. Like a Cobain, you know? I kind of see them synonymously. Is that dark?
I never went to an art school. I failed the art courses that I did take in school. I just looked at a lot of things. And that's why I think I learned about art, by looking at it.
What initially drew me into him was his aesthetic. You don't really hear of too many black painters. So his dreads, his sense of homeless fashion before it was cool to dress like a bum. You and I can always spot when a person just doesn't care. When they don't care about anything. We appreciate that because it takes courage to give up on life and still exist. Now, that's not to say all of his years were bad. Yeah, he had a crippling heroin addiction toward the end of his life, but for someone who always wanted to be a star, he made it.
This is a high-quality film, right?
And he saw his success during his lifetime, unlike somebody like Van Gogh, who didn't know he was popular until, well, actually ever, because he died.
And your own style, where do you think it comes from?
It's a Creole, I guess, of Europe and Africa.
When you look at Basquiat's work, what's the first thing you think of? Okay, I'm gonna tell you mine. We'll see if we have the same answer. I thought a kid drew it. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was like, this sold for how much? Like a 5-year-old on lunch break with snot coming out his nose drew it? Or, oh, like a full-grown man high on that? Oh, okay, I didn't know. My bad. His aesthetic really did introduce me to the person. And once I learned about his story, which I naturally just kept looking for every little interview of Basquiat's. I even have a big ass book over here and like a smaller one. It's the same book. I just paid $200 for, like, so you can see the paintings on a larger page. Don't ask me what I do with my money. Why are you in my pocket? It took me a while to appreciate his work. It's not childish. It's childlike. And that's a different meaning that I had to understand. And Basquiat's work was the main reason why I cared to even learn that in the first place. The idea of painting, especially at a high level, and all these art vendors, and you're so well connected and still choosing to paint like a child, he's somebody who would just sit down with a bunch of art books around in a basement and just paint on anything. Trash cans, fence posts, and of course canvases. And what you got was somebody who would just creatively vomit onto whatever object was placed in front of him with a couple buckets of paint. Now, of course, results are gonna vary per person. Anybody could do that. You and I could pick up a paintbrush right now and be like, oh, look, give me 5 million. German person with a crazy amount of money. He was inspired, and after a while I gained a new appreciation for the man because I learned how he would work and his work ethic. He lived till 27 and he had hundreds of works to his name. Sure, he had millions of dollars, but you don't take that with you to the grave. You also don't take the paintings to the grave, but at least we remember that. We don't get to enjoy his money. I don't care how much money he had. I want to see what colors he used on a masked man. Kind of scary sometimes, but that's what it was in his brain. I appreciate it. My favorite creative philosophy is something that Basquiat embodied better than anybody I could possibly think of. Impression and then expression. You receive things, you channel it through your brain, add a little, a little sauce, some style personal to you, and you put it out to the world.
What are you working on right now?
2,000 drawings.
Are these all finished? What are you working on?
Some of them are.
So he'd sit around with books on the floor, have the TV on, have the radio blasting, a bunch of music, have a vinyl player. He was constantly surrounded by creative works from other people, dead or alive. And that's something I can appreciate because that seems like a very overwhelming environment. I don't see how he could get work done. But the thing is, you could see it reflected in his work.
Hey, bro, let me ask you something. Didn't you snatch my chain last week on the subway? Huh?
It's chaotic. There's a lot of stuff going on. Even his most minimal things, he said he would paint over because he didn't like the one underneath. Very rarely you see a chaotic mind soothe himself with something creative and be known for it. That's the main thing. Be known for it. Because of course we know somebody like on the street selling little like $5 paintings. Sure, they could be Basquiat, but do they have dreads?
What do we have here? I have these original mixed media postcards by Basquiat I'm looking to sell.
And what do you think they're worth?
$50,000 a piece.